Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, who's headed your way and what do they want to say? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the clear Calcite, along with this card. Group 2 is the Amethyst, along with this card. And group 3 is the Heliotrope, along with this card. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the cards and the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the clear Calcite, along with this card, which says love with an open heart. So to channel some introductory energies from this card right here, this is definitely somebody who has long held feelings for you. So this could be somebody that you dated in the past resurfacing. This is bringing to mind the idea of first love, young love, something where there may have been a distance of time and there's somebody that has never been able to get over you. They may have been comparing other connections to you and have finally kind of reached this point of curiosity getting the better of them, seeking you out, seeking to come out of the shadows and rekindle the connection, the kind of energy of right person, wrong time, and moving towards you with the intent to see maybe the recipe will be different this time. Maybe the timing will be better. Or this could have been something where it was a lot of unactualized potential between you and another person. Third parties could have been involved in the past. This could have been a friendship situation. Any number of factors where it wasn't prudent to move toward one another, or obstacles that stood between the two of you, and really tapping into expressing the fullness of those emotions in the past may have led to, as a matter of necessity, kind of keeping quiet about these feelings, sort of like a failure to launch situation. And at this point in time, it feels that the road has been cleared, blockages have been cleared on this person's part. And if there had been circumstances on your part that had caused them to be at a distance or not speak, not express these feelings, they may have gotten word somehow, done a little bit of research, a little bit of spying and sleuthing, and have found out that maybe the road is clear for you. You're single, or they're wanting to investigate that and see if that is the case. This can also speak about somebody that you are currently dating or that you're currently friends with who has deeper feelings for you than they have let on at this point in time. So they are headed your way with the intention of opening up to deeper emotional levels to explore and see kind of, are these feelings mutual? Do you feel the same way as I do? Are you interested in being more than friends or taking things to the next level? This can also talk about somebody that you have been in a no contact situation from. So not just, young love, early love, and life kind of taking you both in other directions. But this could have been a situation where you've been in a stalemate with somebody. They ghosted, they blocked, they've tried to move on into other situations, tried to sort of extinguish the memory of you in this connection, and they keep coming back around into that heart space with kind of this curiosity. Why can't I outrun these feelings? Why am I still so drawn back in the direction of this person? And it feels on some level there's been a degree of surrender within themselves. They can't avoid looking at these feelings, or they've ceased avoiding them in a certain manner. So this can almost be like an olive branch, a form of apology. in terms of let's open up, let's talk about things. If I have run from my feelings in the past, I'm ready to open up and explore these a little more deeply, to address some triggers and to see, is this still a viable connection? Can we move on from this point? How do you feel about things that have happened, and sort of making mutual plans moving forward. So let's dig a little bit deeper into this for some more details about who this is coming towards you and what they want to say, what the nature of this action in your direction looks like. Okay, so we've got the Page of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Eight of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. The Eight of Swords, so more air energy. The Hermit, which is Virgo. Two of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And the Magician, which is Gemini. So that Page of Swords, and also this guy looking out of this little window here in the Eight of Swords, this is definitely somebody who has been watching from afar. It is almost like they're going to be coming through with a very determined offer or conversation. This is not something where this is someone acting on impulse. They've almost been doing their research. They've been feeling things out. These two little birds right here can indicate they've heard from a little birdie things have changed in your circumstances. They heard through the grapevine that you're back in town, you're available. Some sort of change has occurred with you. Or they may have even had people that have been kind of reporting back to them, mutual parties that the two of you know, friends in common, or things of that nature, where they have gone kind of the roundabout approach. They're taking the long way back to you. And at this point of wanting to say something, kind of building up the courage, it feels like, to prove via changed actions, not just empty words, but something that they have to give or provide that demonstrates, I've matured, I've cleared obstacles and blockages, I see the light now, I want to come out of hiding. This idea of the Hermit can again speak about distance here, time being the biggest factor. So somebody that you knew earlier in your life, where it's been a substantial amount of time since you've been apart from one another. This can be somebody who has, been kind of locked in fear, trapped in the mental space, or is taking an overly logical approach to matters of the heart in the past. Although it can definitely indicate kind of with this transitional energy right here with the youth and the Page of Swords. And then we've got this older gentleman here on the Eight of Pentacles that, this could have been young love, early love, first love, some kind of a crush when you were both youths, and now you're in adulthood. More than just like a year or two has passed though, and time has changed the two of you. Life has kind of had its way with the both of you. This person could have been married before and has gotten a divorce. You might have been married and gotten a divorce. Some sort of rites of passage have occurred, and now at this stage of maturity that they find themselves at, there's almost a sense of being drawn back to, remembering the feelings that they had for you. Remember the stirrings within. Being too young the first time around to fully appreciate that. Or almost somebody that may have felt the need to kind of pursue other things, sort of sow their oats, or keep their options open, or sort of explore, travel the world literally or figuratively, in order to really come back to the conclusion that they have not been able to kind of find somebody who stirs them in quite this unique way. A lot of love that they still have for you, or a lot of untapped potential of love that they've just been holding on to here. It's almost that they might have been just lacking or inexperienced in the past and not really being able to appreciate or to invest very deeply or express or explore the nature of these feelings. And it has taken time and space, the maturity of just life in general happening, or other relationships happening, love and loss, or even losing you to somebody else. If this is somebody who failed to act on their feelings previously and someone else has kind of come into the equation, there's a sense of them knowing of this, even perhaps just energetically, but it feels a little more substantial with all this swords energy. They have some sort of direct knowledge. They've researched this, they've looked it up, they've seen this, and it has provided some sort of motivation to them that if the chance were to come back around, if another window of opportunity presented itself, that they would not just want to sit on the sidelines, but would want to make some sort of effort forward to give this a chance, to really put themselves out there, to try and repair the situation, or even just express themselves in a very unique way compared to the patterns before. With this energy of the magician, this is speaking about the confidence to manifest this. So things that they've been doing in their life and kind of picking up the pieces of their life, or reaching more of a state of having something solid to offer rather than just kind of empty promises and questions. They feel to be coming forth with something that will be intriguing, would be interesting. It holds value and worth. This could be tendencies and patterns in the past that may have led to circumstances falling apart between the two of you, whether that was just that they were young and, time has passed. And so now they are more certain about what they want, what they're looking for. They know who they are a little bit more inside and what they can offer and bring to the table. Or if it was something where things fell apart because this is someone who was very afraid of their feelings, kind of avoided that, it reached a certain level, and there was either a failure to express these feelings or they had run from them. There's a sense of that they've done some degree of introspection within, or maybe tables have turned on them. The same sort of circumstance might have happened to them. Somebody else that they had a stirring for in the heart space, who chose to move in another direction rather than participate, sort of left them hanging. And it's brought to mind this perspective of kind of like feeling what you felt, really recognizing that where they'd been investing, what they'd been prioritizing, what they'd been looking toward, and also what they'd been fearful of in terms of the nature of these feelings that still exist within you. They'd been investing in the wrong thing, and it's a desire to course correct and see, can we kind of rewrite the script? Can we rewrite the narrative? Can we have a different future with one another, rather than just leaving this as something very much frozen in time, stuck in the past, a closed door? This is almost somebody creating a window of opportunity. And for a lot of you, this is someone, you may have lost track of. You may every once in a while think, I wonder whatever happened to that person. But for a lot of you, it feels like there may have been a prolonged period of time of just silence, no contact. For some, it's going to be as a result of things falling apart, crumbling, this person sort of running from their feelings, running from the connection. Feels like for a lot of people, though, this is someone where your lives just took you in different directions. Even if it was kind of, a process of like immaturity in the past, kind of like early love, and, you might have had your heart broken. It feels like you've grown and evolved as an individual to the point where you're not necessarily holding the mistakes of youth against this person. If they were to come back towards you, as this reading, is indicating, because it's who's headed your way, it's definitely a sense of, obviously you are a different person. You're not going to maybe tolerate what went on the last time around. They're wiser, they're world weary, you're wiser, you're world weary. There's just an understanding here that kind of that introductory stage of, maybe exploring feelings, emotions, romance for the first time, that it was a different playing field compared to where you're at right now. So it feels like for a lot of you with this person, it would almost kind of be a neutrality, maybe a surprise, maybe even kind of just, hearing them out. For a lot of you, it doesn't feel like this is something where you'd slam the door right away. It might just be kind of like, oh, I kind of wondered what happened to you. So maybe something where you're not necessarily following one another on social media. For some of you, you would be, and kind of, they're on your massive friends list of people you went to high school with or people you went to college with, but there's not been a lot of direct interaction back and forth. But that can be the means by which this person has observed changes in your life. That might even be kind of the method by which they open those lines of communication. For others of you, this is somebody who, sort of seeks you out. They initiate things with that friend request. It opens up kind of the dynamic of chatting. It feels like it'll be something more than just sort of liking photographs. This is someone who definitely has something to say. They have something they want to express. They come in peace. They come with the intention of, building up and exploring. Eventually, it feels like matters of the heart, emotions, things that still exist within. And it's with a determination to try again, or to touch upon these energies from more of a mature and self-aware stance. But it almost feels like something that they're not overly invested in an outcome here. It's something that compels them back in your direction, which is sort of initiating this effort on their part to reach out and to make that contact, to move in that direction. So let's get a little bit more about this. Okay, so we have patience, kindness, rest, and play. Yeah, so with this patience, this definitely ties into, again, that element of somebody that has been out of your life for quite some time. They are resurfacing from the past. With this elk here in the full kind of rack of antlers, this is, definitely talking about growth and maturity on this person's part. They have stepped into their own. They've come into their own. They may even be quite transformed from the last time you were dealing with them, especially if this was somebody that, you were in high school with, you knew when you were younger. Obviously, they would be more mature, and it's almost like they've ripened or again, really come into their own in a very impressive way. Not just physically, but in terms of their sense of self. Their whole energy may have really settled. This could have been somebody with kind of this idea of bear and rest. They could have been kind of shy, a little bit kind of awkward and lumbering in their energy, not quite comfortable in their skin when you were last dealing with them, or just at a stage in their life where, they didn't necessarily know the importance of taking consistent action to move in the direction of, that which kind of stirs the heart. Their priorities might have been elsewhere, and they were just sort of, love wasn't high on the priority list, or, they were kind of like slow to act in a certain way. That can definitely lead to like a window of opportunity that was missed, or the idea of kind of rest as well, if there were other third-party situations involved when you were last in one another's lives. Maybe even part of some kind of like mutual friend group, or you may have been dating one another's friends, something of that nature. There was a sense of that they couldn't move. They just kind of had to hold these feelings within, kind of tuck them within. These feelings have been frozen in time, kind of cryogenically frozen within this cave of their heart. And, with this hermit energy, they're emerging from the cave rather than kind of like retreating deeper and deeper away and just continuing to harbor this energy of what if. This is somebody who's moving forth in confidence with, more kind of gusto than they had in the past. This energy of play can definitely speak about somebody that is got a good sense of humor. They may sort of lead with kind of a lighthearted energy, kind of a childlike energy, trying to recapture even that energy of youth. So somebody that you knew when you were younger, starting by reminiscing about sort of the good old times with one another. It feels like they're gonna come forth in an energy of maybe presenting as friends first, starting in that kind of way. This doesn't feel to be a group where it's somebody that, even if this was a romantic relationship of the past, it doesn't feel like they're going to just sort of lead right out the gate with the sense of, I've never been able to get over you, I still love you, I miss you. They come more lighthearted than that. It's like a Three of Cups sort of energy here. just kind of catching up, making up for lost time, but also not lingering too long in that energy. This is somebody with a plan, someone very determined to, elevate things forward. They have sort of a future and concrete goal in mind as far as this reemergence or reaching out to you is concerned. And they're wanting to make sure that you don't feel triggered, that you feel safe, that, maybe if there's something that they're unable to kind of get information about, even if you're on one another's social media, there's always that possibility that you could be seeing someone. You might not be single and available. And so it's almost like they're going to tread lightly. They're not going to put themselves out there right away, because they're not wanting to get hurt or rejected or disappointed. It's just enough of a curiosity that they've been thinking about this for a while. They've been kind of observing for a while. Maybe you've even been following one another on social media for a while, and it's a sense of like, now's the good time to act. They come in a very high vibration. They come in peace. This doesn't really feel like for most of you that this is anyone who's going to need to bring some kind of an overt apology, although it feels like that may be something that comes up, kind of this little hourglass here in the background of this card, sort of as you're talking with one another, as you're kind of reacquainting, as you're getting to know one another again, catching up and things like that, that if there is anything that, maybe they were very careless with your heart, maybe, just as kind of like young love tends to be, both of you very inexperienced and, not really fully mature or ready to kind of have a deep and lasting emotional relationship. And there might have been mistakes made on both parts, heartbreak, sorrow, disappointment. If you had been a romantic couple kind of earlier in your life, there's a sense here of this person, at some point addressing kind of where they went wrong, bringing up the past, and with an energy of sincerity. Not in any way that this has been this huge burden and they're just sort of coming to you for some vindication to ease something within so they can carry on with their life. But it feels like they've achieved enough sort of maturity and self-awareness that they will address that kind of, the way that they were when they were younger, how their priorities were maybe a bit skewed, how things have changed. This is all kind of part of that, proving to you that they have something to offer, reestablishing or almost kind of introducing or reintroducing you to this version of them that they've grown into. For some, this can, again, it feels like somebody's really kind of come into their own. So it might even be somebody that, if this isn't young love necessarily, it's just been an extended period of time since you've seen one another. They may have gone through some sort of profound transformation, some kind of like spiritual growth, evolution, some kind of change, or, just somebody who'd started really being less frivolous. They've started adulting. They've gotten their priorities in line. They've built something. They're more serious about kind of what they're doing with their life, the company that they're keeping. A lot of things may have shifted and changed. And also then that ties in with kind of, as they're sort of introducing or reintroducing you to this new version of them, or this kind of elevated version of them, it feels like there will be, some addressing of kind of those difficult issues that you had in the past. But it feels like from a perspective where they almost might sort of phrase it as, I was so naive, I had my priorities out of whack, I, was focused on the wrong thing, I was really lost, I was really confused, and they put that responsibility on themselves. It's not bringing this forth with kind of the sense of, please forgive me, so that this burden is alleviated from me. It's almost that they've come into a place of kind of self-acceptance and are self-aware enough that that apology is in the form of changed action. This is the sense of kind of like they've come to terms with what has happened in the past, and the way that they sort of approach that, it feels like it'll really make clear that if you choose to kind of continue the dialogue with this person, if you allow them to kind of get to that point of expressing feelings, if you have feelings for them as well, because they're coming with like kind of a crush energy, or something that has been long term kind of held within, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you still feel the same way about this person, or that this is going to be reciprocal. It might just be something with this idea of play and like 3 of Cups, that it just becomes like a friendship between the two of you, or it's something which may help to provide some degree of vindication, things that you hadn't thought about in years, and all of a sudden here's somebody telling you very earnestly, like, I see the error of my ways, I have changed, I have self-reflected, and you didn't deserve to be treated that way, or it was kind of cowardly that I didn't say what was in my heart at the time, or it was very kind of unfortunate, I had these feelings for you, but there were other people kind of in the way of that situation. So something that may just kind of provide you with a sense of validation that, what happened in the past with this person was truly meaningful. They've learned some kind of lesson, they've grown, they've evolved. If it was a lot of kind of unspoken feelings between the two of you, especially if there were third-party situations involved, this is something that can really help to validate as well. The sense of you maybe being able to tell that there was some chemistry there, where there was some connection, but it was just not feasible to act upon that. So in some way it may provide you with kind of an ability to let go of something that you may have held on even very deeply on like a subconscious level from the past. Energetically speaking, overall this feels very positive. There's a lot of growth potential here personally, and in terms of, depending, because it'll be different for everyone, just depending on if this is somebody where, you're interested in kind of exploring and diving in deeper and kind of tapping into those feelings that have still been held within or maybe never explored in the past. This is something that can definitely lead to, romance, something that might even have like a long-term future attached to it. It's going to be a little bit different for everyone. But it's definitely somebody who comes forth more confident. They don't come forth in like a wishy-washy energy. It feels like it's very matter of fact. It's very much, and maybe even kind of reflective of their maturity and growth, that in the past, if this is someone who would have just kind of let opportunities pass them by, who was very kind of fearful when it came to feelings and matters of the heart, they've turned a new leaf in some sort of way to where they're going to honor and validate that within themselves. And for whatever reason, they feel very compelled to sort of bring this information to you, to open this up to you, to at least put themselves out there, even by the sheer fact of making contact with kind of this intention about, if this other person is willing, let's explore matters of the heart. And that in and of itself, it feels like demonstrates a pretty significant degree of change from the way this person was sort of navigating emotional waters when you knew them or were in a relationship with them or were dealing with them in the past. So let's get some messages from their higher self and see, what does this person want to tell you? Okay, and they say, my emotions for you are running deep. So it's like King of Cups energy, long-held emotions, deep feelings that were never properly expressed, a sense of coming back around to these matters of the heart. If it was a missed opportunity, it's something where even if they've moved on in other connections with other people, in periods of time where they're single or in transitions of relationships, or even in the midst of relationships, there's a lot of comparing kind of what surged within the good times between the two of you and kind of the lack of that in other connections. There's this drawback to, I wonder what would happen if we reconnected now. Maybe this would be a different result than how things turned out before. They also say, I wish I would have treated you better. So there's that confirmation of somebody who may have just been very careless, young, immature when you were last dealing with them in terms of even like physical years, and emotionally immature, maybe because they were, in terms of biologic calendar years, young and didn't have a lot of experience in terms of matters of the heart, or even just something where, they were kind of emotionally stunted for any variety of reasons. Either way, it feels like this is somebody who has done some sort of growth within themselves, a lot of self-awareness, a lot of self-reflection. And so part of what it feels like they want to bring forth and want to discuss, what they want to say to you at some point, if you're willing to entertain communication with this person, which again, for most of you, this doesn't feel like somebody where they would reach out and you would just say, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with that person, and you'd slam the door in their face. It feels like it's a very neutral energy. It might just be intriguing, interesting, something where you wouldn't really have feelings either way. You'd hear them out. And so with that comes, the sense of tapping into the past, touching upon that, not just kind of taking it from this current moment forward. There is this energy of looping back around and really expressing kind of this remorse or regret over actions taken or even not taken in the past. And they also say, I've been working on my self-love and self-worth. So there's that confirmation as someone who's really come into their own. They've grown, they've matured. This is someone who's definitely evolved. And rather than kind of coming to you with the sense of, I've changed, I've evolved, I've grown, it'll be evident in terms of their priorities, the way they're talking, the level of self-reflection, and without even having to be kind of pushed to the point of, we need to talk about what happened in the past, or, are you even sorry? Do you regret anything that happened? It's something where they almost of their own initiative will pretty quickly into sort of this communication, bring it back to that issue, that kind of crossroads moment when a different choice was made than they have really felt was kind of the proper decision in this situation. And they also say, I can't stop thinking about you. So again, you've been in this person's heart, you've been on their mind across the distance, across time. If this is a long-term no contact situation where it's someone who ran or ghosted or blocked you in the past, they carried you with them through that period of basically outrunning their own sort of fears and insecurities. And it feels like they've reached some kind of a breaking point, maybe in other ways. Again, that energy of kind of tables being turned on them in a certain manner, or even just other things that have happened in their life, some kind of process of surrender or even spiritual awakening, to where it may be sort of a process of like making amends, where they know they need to come back around and set the record straight, or sort of change the tone of how things were left. It feels though like even if this was a situation where that happened, you've grown and evolved and healed enough, or enough time has passed that it doesn't hurt as much as it used to. Yes, there may still be some disappointment. Yes, it feels like even with kind of this crocodile on here on this patience card, you might be a little bit guarded or skeptical of this person, not just so quick to kind of open up and let them in again, considering sort of your history with one another. But it's definitely the energy of you'll hear them out. You'll hear what they have to say. Any kind of hot temper or intensely hurt feelings, time has really helped in this situation to sort of heal wounds. And it's, not to say that, they come back around and they just reopen old wounds. You're different, they're different, and it's almost like this interaction that it feels like they're in the process of manifesting. It may be just very surprising for you how smoothly this goes, how much you're able to, just from a very neutral space, hear what they have to say. And they also say, I want to reach out to you. So something they've been thinking about for a while. If you needed a confirmation beyond the context of the theme of this reading, there it is. I want to reach out to you. I'm making my way towards you. This is something that, it's not spontaneous, it's not impulsive, it's not just on a whim. This is something where for a while they've been thinking about this, and this may even be something that's part of that growth and maturation process, kind of building up the courage, working up the nerve. They may have, for some people, kind of wanted to reach out before, and then they missed a window of opportunity, like maybe you got in another connection, or there was some kind of, even with that energy of like, they heard through a little birdie or the grapevine, they may have gotten some bad information, and it caused them to sort of disconnect from a plan that they had made to sort of approach you sooner. But even if that's the case, it feels like these feelings, it's significant enough that there was motivation to kind of check back in later, to try again later, to readdress this again. And they are now in this position of, as far as they're able to perceive, as far as they are able to see, all signs are pointing to them sort of taking those steps forward. And they also say, I fell in love with you the moment we connected. So confirmation of someone who has had deep feelings for you for quite some time. These feelings have not gone away, especially if this is a lot of untapped potential here. They were never expressed. You were never in a relationship with one another. It was just a lot of kind of chemistry from afar and innuendos, things like that. This is something to where time has not alleviated that. Yes, they most likely have had other relationships, other partnerships, other people that have moved them on a heart and emotional level. But there's something about kind of the depth and nature and this curiosity of, it was the right person, the wrong time. Circumstances have changed. I've changed. You've changed. So maybe this is the opportunity. Maybe this is the time that we were really meant to explore these feelings. Maybe it wasn't meant to happen sooner. But it's this element of kind of curiosity where this is someone who's not going to continue to sit on the fence. They will come forward and, make some sort of effort, at least knock on that door and see, is it possible? Are these feelings still viable? Are you available? Where can you go from here? So I want to get a little bit of guidance, and then I'll get some initials to close out the reading. Okay, we have transformation and change, and gratitude and thanks. So transformation and change, definitely a confirmation there of this person having evolved in some way, having broken some sort of habits, having broken through to the other side of some better version of them. And maybe even just the fact that if this is like a long time has passed and you both have grown and evolved, and time has taken its toll on you for better or worse. It's the sense of course they're not going to be the same as they were when they were a teenager or when they were a young adult. Of course life would have sort of reshaped them in another direction. And with this energy of kind of gratitude and thanks, this is a lot of optimism here. This is a person who has overall, in terms of what they're bringing towards you, maybe not in every aspect of their life, but as far as emotions are concerned, there has been some sort of positive up-leveling for them. So the guidance is to really just kind of have an open mind and, don't kind of judge the book by its cover, but allow sort of what they have to say. Allow the conversation to really just kind of sit with you. Maybe a couple of conversations before you really discern kind of their intentions, because it doesn't feel like someone who's just going to sort of spew all these feelings that they've had inside. They're going to build up to that point. They're going to want to kind of get to know you again. Introduce you to this version of them, this transformed version of them. And it feels to be something that, even with both of these cards having all these little butterflies here, there's a lot of sort of fear around this, but it's something that is not enough of a motivation to keep them at a distance. That may have been the case in the past, but they've summoned enough courage within themselves to be able to kind of break through the silence. This isn't going to be somebody who's just going to watch and wait and another missed opportunity passes them by. With that magician energy, they're manifesting this. They're very determined to at least interact with you more directly. So it's not just all this kind of like thought energy, but it's really interfacing with one another, dialoguing with one another, building up kind of this reconnection sort of energy. And so, the guidance with this is to just kind of keep that open mind. Look at this person and sort of, especially if it's, you're kind of instinctually guarded, like, ooh, what do they want? Honor that part of yourself, but it's the beginner's mind here, because they come in peace. They're not coming with any kind of an agenda. They're not coming with the intention to like break your heart again. Honoring kind of your path and your own personal journey, and just, allowing this situation to kind of develop, or the conversation to develop very organically, until you can really get a feel for one another again. The memory that you each have of one another is very different, it feels like, from your current and present reality that each of you embody. So it's very undetermined. Like, is there going to be compatibility here? Is there chemistry here? Especially if it's something where this was nobody ever opened up about this before. It's all just been this theoretical energy. A little bit of fantasy has gotten involved in all of that kind of forbidden fruit energy. And so just allowing it to kind of take its organic pace, but also not taking a defeatist attitude and really looking to, the sense that for some people, this really is a situation of this was the right person at the wrong time, but now the times are different. And so this just might be that window of opportunity, that door of opportunity, the time in both your lives when you were meant to come together with one another. Either way, whether this is just something that, validates feelings that you have, helps to kind of like change your opinion of this person. Maybe you gain a new friend out of this circumstance, or it leads to something more. Either way, kind of the guidance with this is, to look at this as a blessing in some way. This is kind of this person demonstrating courage. This is this person validating the nature of their feelings, and in some way maybe validating the nature of your feelings. For some of you, this will just be flattering, and to be grateful for that someone would sort of be holding these feelings for so long and would come forth and say something about that. Maybe at this point in your life, you kind of need that little boost of somebody who's like, hey, I'm attracted to you. I like you. I've thought of you. I've still held you in my heart, just whatever that kind of looks like for you. But it's really just, this is an opportunity to kind of change something. It's outside of the box. It's somebody that you don't necessarily suspect is on their way in. And so even that kind of twist in the narrative arc that you're on right now definitely can be something which leads to a lot of optimism and joy, and a sense of kind of like, the universe is full of all kinds of surprises, and this doesn't always have to be tower moments. Like in this case, this feels to be a very pleasant surprise, a very kind of nice reconnection with somebody from the past. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got K, P, X, V, D, Y, G, H, B, A, N, C, P, E, I, U, and E. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. And the format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance for the most part. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Amethyst, along with this card, which says, accept the opportunity that is offered. So to channel some introductory energies off of this card, it definitely feels like secret admirer energy. Somebody who is watching you work, watching you go about some sort of process of building your best life, living your best life. This can be somebody like who's a student along with you. If you're in college or you're taking classes, for example, a classmate. This can be somebody that in a professional capacity, maybe they come to your job. This can be a co-worker even. Some of you that have like a public platform, or you're putting things out there on social media. This can be somebody who's, a follower or subscriber, somebody who's watching you in that capacity, somebody who's had their eye on you and is kind of like waiting for a very particular moment to sort of shoot their shot. It feels like this is almost something that this person's like next in line. They may have first sort of noticed you when you were in a relationship with somebody else, or there was the impression that you were dating somebody else, or kind of a question about are you involved or not. They've definitely been kind of watching from afar. And this is interesting. This is only going to apply for some people, but this is somebody who's gotten readings on you or gotten a reading on you to see, are you single, or are you available? Are you seeing anyone? That this is something where there's almost like an intimidation factor in moving towards you, or a sense of not wanting to overstep some sort of boundary, or just wanting to kind of be as certain as possible that the path towards you is clear before they make that move. That for some also, there's another interesting energy kind of coming through here with this imagery. This is something where instead of this person headed towards you, you're almost headed toward them. This may be something that some of you are kind of at a point where there's going to be some big transition for you. Maybe you're going to move, relocate, change jobs, graduate, something of that nature, kind of just expanding beyond your comfort zone in a certain way. And that this person is they're at that intersection. It's almost like when you shift your focus towards something else, or, the next kind of chapter of your life begins, here's this person like waiting here, to where this element of they may not even be sort of aware of you at this point in time. You're on like two different timelines here, but there's almost a sense of you're getting ready to intersect with one another in a way that, even whether this is somebody that you're going to be the one headed their way, you're going to be the one taking steps in your life that sort of aligns you with their reality, or if this is somebody that kind of at a distance has been watching and waiting for that opportunity to make a move towards you. Either way, this is not something that's very distant. You're almost kind of like right in alignment with one another. The timing is almost right for this. So for those of you that know you have some kind of like big change coming up, you're in the process of releasing, maybe even kind of like shedding or getting over some kind of heartbreak or disappointment. It's a sense of almost kind of like when you're ready to put yourself back out there again, there's somebody kind of waiting. But this isn't like, oh, when you're ready to put yourself out there again, 3 years from now, there's somebody waiting. They're pretty close, in range to you. And this is somebody that, with that energy of like headed your way, this is not someone who's going to hesitate for very long. It's almost kind of, the timing will be right for this kind of movement towards you, with a cup of love. For some of you who may kind of like know this person already in sort of a surface level way, it's somebody that you might just kind of know in passing, or, you kind of smile and nod at one another. There's a sense of just kind of watching you and getting this kind of vibe off of your energy, feeling into your energy. Maybe this is somebody who's very psychic, themselves. Maybe you're very psychic. They're connecting with you in that kind of capacity. And there's a sense of intrigue, a sense of curiosity, a sense of just what they've been able to sort of see and uncover about you at this point in time, because with this figure and kind of the back turned to this other person, it's sort of a limited, it's a one-sided view. It's almost like a two-dimensional view that they have of you. And they're very much aware of this. This doesn't feel to be somebody that's kind of off in fantasy land, and they've just sort of seen you walk by and they think you're like the one for them, kind of an energy. They definitely have a sense of there could be more to this situation. You intrigue them, you draw them in. There's a lot of curiosity there, but it's also feels to be somebody that they want to kind of like get to know you more. They want to interface with you. They're not going to rush forth with kind of like, the stranger coming out of nowhere saying, I love you. This is somebody that's kind of like, I have this cup of love to offer. I'm emotionally ready to connect with another person. I have these kind of feelings, this interest that has stirred for you, for this person that I know kind of in a very limited sense. I know very little about. And so it's the sense of almost kind of coming towards you with the intent of directly expressing themselves in some way, taking that leap of faith so that the two of you can kind of reach this sort of middle ground with one another, get to know one another before sort of, coming to that conclusion, like, what is this? Is there true chemistry here? Is there true compatibility here? So it's a very kind of fresh energy. It's a very new energy, of kind of like somebody getting ready to approach. So let's see what else you need to know. Okay, so we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Four of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Queen of Pentacles, so more earth energy. High Priestess, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Knight of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And the Seven of Swords, so more air energy. So with this Nine of Pentacles and Queen of Pentacles, this can definitely be somebody that knows you professionally, knows you through work, watches you work in some kind of manner. It feels like they are coming to you in a very practical and grounded energy. This is not going to be somebody that's going to, bombard you and kind of lead with the energy necessarily of affection. They may come forth with like practical matters, coming to you in a sense of building some sort of foundational experiences with you. It feels like in order to be able to determine within themselves more precisely, what is this that I'm feeling within? This High Priestess, it feels that, it's kind of like it's a secretive energy, but it's also very intuitive. So there's a sense of a draw towards you. They're very compelled in your direction. You have caught their attention. You fascinated them. They've been watching you. This is something where they almost feel kind of like a spiritual bond or a psychic bond, but it feels like something that is very undefined to them at this particular point in time. It's a sense of knowing that this could be like a deep soul connection, but it's somebody who's reserving like full judgment on that until they get to know you on a practical level. This might have been somebody who in the past kind of felt deep soul connections with other people. Again, they might be very kind of psychic and intuitive themselves, and that this led to a sense of like disappointment. It led to a sense of like being misled, being tricked, a sense of them almost kind of putting the reins on or taking almost a more practical approach instead of just purely leading on with the basis of, I feel something on a spiritual level to this person. So therefore it must be defined as this, and I'm just going to run in that direction. Or, this person compels me. There must be something more deeply there. So I'm just going to open up about the nature of what's been fluttering around in my heart space. That might have been an approach they took in the past. Too much disclosure, too much declaration early on. It might have been something that kind of scared other people away even in the past, to where they've almost learned from this experience and they're taking a very different approach, it feels like, to you. It can tie into a layer of almost intimidation in a certain manner, that they understand that it's going to kind of take a delicate approach. You might be somewhat inaccessible, kind of a busy person. From what they're able to see and know of you, your priorities are not necessarily of a frivolous nature, or that can even just tie into sort of a seriousness with how you and this person sort of situationally or environmentally are in connection with one another, that it might not necessarily be the most appropriate to just sort of blurt out that they have a crush on you. That there's a need to kind of build a little bit deeper of a rapport before feeling confident to open that door. There's like more information that they need before it feels like they're willing to sort of put themselves out there fully, to put all their cards on the table. But what they see and kind of feel about you is that you're very sort of confident in your own right. You're somebody who, there's almost a sense of kind of like a private life about you that they're very curious about, that that's compelling them forward. It's not so much the public persona. It's not so much what's on display and kind of these surface level interactions, but there really is a sense, a knowing within of like something deeper to you, something very mysterious about you, something that even that kind of quality might be leading them to sort of operate with a bit of discernment in terms of just rushing towards you, in terms of kind of putting it all out there on the table. Yes, they're the next in line. Yes, they're waiting for this opportunity. Yes, they may be waiting for a time when you are face to face with one another, or that there's some kind of like a reason or an excuse to interact with one another before they open those lines of communication about something more, engaging in deeper conversation than just a smile and a nod or a hey, how's it going, or surface level aspects. It's kind of starting to talk about, private life matters, starting to get to know you on more of a personal level, starting to almost kind of feel in or gather some kind of information before they're willing to open up about, kind of these feelings, before they're able to even kind of decide for themselves, what is this? It's a curiosity, it's a mystery, it's something that compels them forth. For those of you that this is someone that has gotten like a tarot reading about you, it may have just even been something along the lines of, why am I so drawn to this person? What's the nature of this connection with us? Is this something significant? Is there something here? Is this person a soulmate? Why am I just so fascinated by them? And that feels to be whatever kind of came out there in that reading, or it doesn't feel like it would have been, obsessively getting readings on you. It might have been like one or two readings, but it's something to where they almost need this like validation within themselves. That's not sufficient to tide them over. That's not sufficient to kind of provide all the answers. There's almost kind of this energy here of wanting to compare experiences that they're wanting to kind of generate with you with whatever a reader told them, to kind of vet that out, to see how does this compare. Whatever they got as far as readings were concerned resonated, but then there's a sense of kind of like, okay, that's a fly on the wall perspective of something that is not even a concrete situation. It's not even a concrete experience at this point. So it's motivating them to kind of like move in closer, or in some way kind of present themselves more dominantly to you, in a way to really be able to decipher and to discern, how kind of true is this? How much, can this kind of become some sort of basis in reality in terms of what we might explore together, what we might build with one another. So it's almost coming to you with a sense of, having a crush, being attracted, wanting to kind of offer their cup of love, or to, sort of present that. But there's also some element here of sort of satisfying their own kind of curiosity for themselves. This is sort of like a deep question that ever since they've encountered you, ever since they've been observing you, this has been almost needling at them in a way. It's kind of nudging them in a direction that's outside of the box, of kind of typical crushes they may get, or fascinations with other people. It's drawn them to sort of greater lengths than they may have gone previously. This also feels like something, for some people, they may be kind of wondering, is there really something here? Is there potential here? Or is this just an example of limerence? Is this just kind of fascination with a stranger? And so it feels like they're really trying to put the brakes on within themselves and kind of not get carried away into this, happily ever after, this is my person, this is the one kind of energy. That might have happened for them before, on at least one other occasion with another person. And so it feels like in this situation with you, they're almost trying to be a little more cautious with how they move in this situation. They need some sort of concrete evidence before they're going to fully kind of commit themselves to, are these even feelings, or is this just kind of an indication of some wound within playing itself out in some manner? So let's get a little bit more and see what else you need to know about this. Okay, so we have defend, trust, protect, and energy. So that energy definitely confirms some kind of a spiritual draw towards you that they have. This might also be with kind of this Four of Wands here, that when this person approaches, you may experience that very simultaneously with them. This can definitely indicate for some of you that this is some kind of a soulmate, some kind of a soul connection. It's your person, like the next version or the future version, or the one for some of you with that kind of 11/11 energy right there, that you're finally encountering your person, maybe after a lot of kind of mishaps as far as love is concerned. But it's a sense of almost kind of like a racing heartbeat that they get when they are sort of thinking about you, or they're talking with you, they're interacting with you, or they're watching you in some capacity, and it's something to where they're wanting to kind of explore beyond just those very kind of tangible and visceral sort of feelings of, okay, I've got the butterflies for this person, but what else is that? The protect and defend is definitely speaking about, a guardedness about this individual. So that can speak about, incidences of limerence that they have been in before, and they're not wanting to kind of go down that rabbit hole again. This can talk about, somebody that might even kind of have a tendency to get a little bit obsessive when it comes to kind of pursuing the unattainable, sort of like the forbidden fruit kind of energy. So it feels to be something that they're very like mindful about that within themselves, and they're not wanting this situation to fall into that. There may have even been people that have kind of taken advantage of that quality within this person before, sort of stringing them along, and that's kind of, it's left a sting within them, kind of once bitten, twice shy sort of energy. So although there is this kind of focus, there's this fixation, there's this energy of, I want to get to know this person more. I want to kind of explore and experience, what is this? What could this be? There's also a sense of sort of like holding back, not wanting to say too much, show too much, demonstrate too much before they've kind of reached a sense of certainty within. So they may be a little bit chaotic and kind of almost like they would sort of stutter, or they might come across as a very sort of icy and awkward kind of energy. That might have even already been the case when you've been interacting with them before, up to this point or before. If this is someone that's like a coworker or a classmate, for example, this could be somebody that just sort of, whenever you approach, their eyes are on the ground. They're looking everywhere else but you. They make up an excuse to sort of leave and move in the other direction. You might have even thought, does this person not like me? But it's actually quite the opposite. They're very intrigued by you. They're very fascinated by you. But it's some level of almost kind of not trusting their emotions, not trusting themselves to not get carried away with this, with themselves in this situation, or just like a tendency within themselves, emotionally speaking. And so although it's like they come towards you with interest in some manner, they're making their move, they're pronouncing themselves more directly into your reality, or for the first time they're sort of reaching out. It may be with kind of a lot of fluttery energy, excuses that are made, but it's definitely something that they're just wanting to kind of get in closer, feel things out, vet things out, sort of warm up to the situation, and really be able to kind of take an approach that doesn't just involve, my heart has swooned for this person, I'm attracted to this person energetically, physically, all these different kind of ways, intellectually, my emotions are running wild, but they're checking that within themselves. So this might be kind of a newly adopted trend within them of sort of not letting the heart lead, kind of taking more of a practical approach, or it might be sort of the first time that they're doing this. This is new territory for them, which is why they're kind of stumbly when they move towards you. A little bit of kind of, it might be sort of a rocky start for them to kind of establish and ground themselves in kind of moving in closer or expressing themselves. But it's a sense here with energy of, for a lot of you, there's a lot of potential in this situation. If this person can kind of just get over some degree of nervousness, let their guard down a little bit, get off the self-protective mode, kind of building trust a little bit in terms of just interacting and kind of interfacing with your energy more directly, it feels like this is just going to kind of provide them with a sense of ease. It'll soothe them down, or maybe even just kind of a prescribed amount of time that they may have to, sort of stuff and suppress some of those feelings before they're really opening up fully about kind of their true intentions or motivations, and sort of coming in closer, starting that dialogue, or kind of expanding the nature of your talks with one another. There's a sense here of them needing to really be sure within themselves that they're not going to be following down the same path that they may have before, or even a sense of kind of like not relying too heavily or too predominantly on sort of this energetic bond that they feel, this kinship that they feel with you on an etheric level. They're wanting kind of practical, logical experiences that would justify that before kind of diving in deeper as far as emotions are concerned. But let's get some messages from their higher self and see, what does this person want to tell you right now. Okay, and they say, sometimes I struggle to express my feelings for you. Yes, this is someone who's very nervous about the nature of what they're feeling, very intimidated by you in general, or intimidated by the nature of kind of this surge that they have towards you, which is why there's kind of the observing from afar. For some of you, they've got readings. They've just been trying to sort of feel into the situation, calm their nerves, and really just sort of move into an emboldened stance where even sort of saying hi to you for the first time might be like a huge stretch for this person, but they've definitely been sort of thinking about that for a while, it feels like. And they also say, I want to reach out to you. So this is like they're building up the nerve, they're building up the courage. They're trying to talk themselves out of some kind of a corner, some kind of like a freeze mechanism that they're in right now, where there is this curiosity, there is this draw, there is this pull towards you, and yet at the same time there's a doubt about that within themselves, maybe even based on the nature and intensity of what they are feeling, what's really coming to the surface in some manner. This could be something even where you might have activated a heart, or initiated like a heart chakra activation within this person when they saw you, when they first made eye contact with you. If you've had like brief interactions with one another, that might have even sort of expanded something within them. And it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this means. I want to move in closer, but I've kind of like pulled back in fear in a certain way, and sort of just like watching from a comfortable distance almost. But there is this urge to present themselves more clearly into your world and into your environment. They also say we both still need more time to heal and grow from it. So this is indicating, it doesn't really feel like for most of you this is someone you've had dealings with in the past, but it almost feels like somebody that may have had like a missed opportunity, or they fumbled the ball in this situation. They've created some kind of an impression, some sort of an awkwardness here where, you might be thinking that they don't like me, they dislike me, in fact. So there's work that's going to need to be done here in order to change your opinion in view of this person. For some, this is also kind of going to apply though to, they've been compelled in your direction, and yet fear sort of holds them back. So it's a very like personal energy here. They need to heal and grow and evolve beyond some sort of fear of, being taken through the ringer again, being taken for a ride, as far as people that might use their vulnerability or their, emotions as to their advantage. A sense of somebody that may have had a history of kind of limerent connections with other people, or limerent sort of fixations, and so they're aware of this, they're mindful of this, and it's making them very hesitant to explore, express, or really dive in fully here. A sense of like, I don't want to go down that road again. I need to curb that or check that within myself. So something that they need to kind of heal and grow beyond. And it feels like the approach that they are most likely going to take with you, sort of taking their time, even presenting a little bit sort of awkward and guarded, that this is a step in a different kind of direction. It's an effort to break free from that pattern. It's kind of actively through sort of how they move in your direction, it's one step closer to being kind of freed from some sort of pattern or cycle that they've been in. They also say, you are my total world. So they're very fascinated by you. They definitely watch you. They anticipate you kind of arriving. If they're, if this is somebody that you work with or you go to school with, and there are days where you're not there, you're not at work, you're not at school, you're not showing up, you're not posting online, just whatever that looks like. There's almost a sense of kind of a little bit of panic mode that it might set them into. That might be a point of concern as well. Like, oh, we don't even have a relationship with one another, and I'm already kind of off to the races as far as all the possible things and explanations of, what this person's absence could mean. So even that kind of element here, that this is kind of, it's caused them to put on the brakes, which is not a bad thing in this situation. It actually is a sign of somebody who, is trying to curb some sort of tendency toward obsession within themselves in order to present something healthy in this situation. They also say, sometimes I feel you deserve so much better than me. So there's that energy of intimidation, very aware of their patterns as well, and some kind of degree of lack within themselves, feeling a bit cowardly at kind of taking their time in this situation, not having moved towards you sooner, or even the sense of kind of that they might have been thinking of moving towards you and then sort of pulled back at the last minute. There's a sense of seeing you as somebody who, like with that Queen of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, you deserve somebody who carries themselves in the same degree of confidence that at least you present, that this person sort of sees you in the light that they see you in, that they're seeing you as someone kind of deserving of a solid and stable partner who knows who they are, who knows what they want. And this person feels to be someone who's kind of on the road to that, but in a lot of ways you may trigger their insecurities. And they also say, I struggle to show you how much I truly care. So confirms there the struggle to show emotions, struggling to express to you specifically that they have emotions or interest, or even to kind of make themselves a factor in your world. If this is somebody who is totally anonymous, a total stranger, that idea of kind of, how do I break through into this person's world without coming across as insecure, without coming across as creepy, without coming across as somebody that they need to be kind of on guard around or defensive toward, or how do I kind of make that move forward and not get rejected. All of this feels to be something that's kind of leading to a lot of nervous energy at this point in time, which is kind of, it almost feels like what is necessary in order to pivot them forward. It's that tension that will kind of cause them to spring. Almost just one day they're going to say, okay, today's the day. They've been thinking about it for a while, and then they take that step, they open their mouth and say something, they send that message, they make that move towards you. So I'm going to get some guidance about the situation, and then I'll get some initials. Okay, so we have tears of joy and sadness, and cleansing body and spirit. So duality is factoring in very heavily here. When this person makes themselves known, when they approach you, it feels like they're going to leave a lot to mystery to kind of be further developed, further explored. This is somebody who, it feels like, definitely may give off vibes very unintentionally of they're hiding something, that they're, unsure, they're giving like hot and cold vibes. And so this is something that, whatever you choose to kind of do with that, do with this situation, do with this person, whether, you're kind of willing to just sort of ride out an initial bit of turbulence as they kind of ground within themselves, as they step more into that personal confidence. This isn't somebody, it feels like, who is just wanting to play with your emotions. It's a matter of kind of pushing themselves beyond some sort of comfort zone. There's a lot of hopefulness, but also a lot of kind of like worry, shadows, wounds of sort of like, okay, am I doing this right? Am I moving toward this person in the right manner? Am I going to fall back into my old patterns? It's an urge to kind of like release themselves, cleanse themselves, free themselves from sort of the typical way that they have moved in terms of matters of the heart. And so that may come across as very murky to you in a sense. And so with that is kind of just the energy of sort of to, honor your instincts about this person. It may be that even if they have the best intentions to, come towards you, put themselves more in your world, build something, explore something here, it might just be that they're not ready. This could be a lesson for them of, you need to go and do this healing work within yourself. You need to kind of find other ways to sort of break these patterns. You need to do a deeper dive, some more shadow work, before you're equipped to kind of be vulnerable in the ways that are required in order for love to blossom, love to bloom. So it may just be this situation, this experience is a teaching tool for them. Or for others of you, this is something where, this is going to result in kind of, you're almost helping this person in a sense to sort of free themselves from some sort of a toxic cycle by being patient, by just taking it very much at face value, trying not to read too much into the energy of like a nervousness or a stumbly sort of energy. If it's somebody that, like, it's a coworker or a classmate, for example, and they've just really kind of been avoiding you. They won't hold eye contact. They've been kind of like running the other way, and they sort of build this wave of momentum and this courage and this confidence to approach you in a different sort of energy. Again, it's the element of kind of maybe giving that some time to really establish that sort of they don't have hidden motives, because it feels like if that's the case, that they'll definitely be sort of a guardedness, like, why are you so different? Why are you all of a sudden receptive to me? Why are you all of a sudden wanting to talk to me? Like, that's very natural. So on both parts, it's like two people honoring these sort of polarities within themselves, that there is the possibility of this sort of becoming something, but it feels to be that there's going to need to be this simultaneous process of kind of working through some degree of shadow and kind of finding the silver lining out of all of that, or sort of becoming that light at the end of the tunnel in certain ways. Definitely an element of teamwork here, where kind of gauging how this person moves towards you can be a really good way to sort of navigate your responses to them in a sense, but really kind of encouraging them to lead beyond what feels to be a very fearful energy. They are the one approaching you, so they need to be the one to kind of take that initiative beyond just sort of like, hey, how's it going? But it's something where, to not expect kind of like the full package right away, because they're dealing with a lot of sort of insecurity within, and maybe even just kind of other factors sort of unrelated to this situation of kind of tendencies within, and trying to sort of take a different approach to the situation than has been the case in sort of disastrous experiences of love in their past. And so kind of just allowing for, what you don't necessarily know right away, kind of giving it time to sort of settle, but overall kind of trusting your instincts. If it doesn't feel right, obviously, don't entertain this person. But if there's something within you that is kind of, you've got that spark, you've got that chemistry, for some of you where this is some kind of deeper soul connection, and it's going to be that recognition that this is significant, then patience is definitely something that can help you and help this person kind of build up their courage a little bit more and sort of settle and ground themselves into more consistency with how they're interacting with you and expressing themselves to you. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got H, N, Y, W, B, M, F, P, I, O, L, H, G, E, E, and Q. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box in the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance for the most part. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Heliotrope, along with this card, which says, a new door is opening, step over the threshold. So to channel some introductory energies off this card, this is definitely giving the vibes with this hawk right here. Somebody who's watching from a distance, maybe even like geographic distance. Somebody who you've had some kind of online connection with, you've been talking to, and maybe things have cooled off between the two of you. There was some kind of fight, some kind of disconnect. They've run from you, they've ghosted you, maybe even kind of like a distance of time, even if this is somebody you were dealing with directly face to face. You know, kind of two people sort of in a stalemate off in their opposite corners. And they've been thinking about things. They've been kind of, almost it feels kind of like a stubborn energy, like they didn't want to be the first one to reach out, but now they've kind of reached this point of like, okay, I'll be the one to break the ice. I'm going to be the one to sort of put myself out there for better or worse. With this gloved hand right here, it's definitely something where it feels like they may be anticipating sharp words, or a sense of you not necessarily being happy to hear from them, maybe considering what has happened between the two of you in the past, or something where this person almost ran from this connection, ran from their feelings, you know, ghosted, blocked, kind of left you with some harsh words, and didn't really keep those lines of communication open to sort of discuss things, or for you to really express your feelings. A sense of understanding that there's been some sort of hurt here, some kind of damage that has happened emotionally speaking, so that maybe coming forth with an apology, or you know, almost a sense of trying to present a softer energy, but they're almost kind of anticipating the worst in this situation, or not really good results here. It feels that they are not necessarily on the brink of kind of just moving towards you only to run away again, although that's definitely a possibility, you know, depending on the nature of how these interactions go with one another. But there's a sense here of kind of like, they need to be ready to kind of put their guard up, put their defenses up, maybe even energetically speaking, they've kind of put a block up against you in this situation in some manner because of how things have played out. It's like a ruthless energy that's coming through her, and that might have been how they behaved in the past. Really just sort of left you hanging, or left you sort of stuck in love all alone at a certain point. And so there is an urge to press forth, you know, even kind of a sense of being a little more receptive to ultimatums you'd given before, efforts you had made before to evolve the connection in some way, you know, things where you may have sort of asked them what their intentions are, you may have opened up and expressed yourself emotionally. This could have caused them to, you know, react in a very sort of offensive manner towards you. And there's a sense of them really, you know, having taken the time to sort of think about this, to kind of ruminate on this. I want to get some more cards to kind of dig a little bit deeper into this, because it's kind of unclear here about have they really just learned their lesson, or they're just sort of coming back in, trying to maybe sort of skirt around the same kind of difficulty that had been the case in the past. Because there is definitely a distinct sort of element here of the past is not forgotten. It's almost kind of, they don't know if it will be so easy for you to kind of forgive and forget, that even if there's some sort of peace that's reached in this situation, if it was left on kind of harsh terms, there's a fear that this will always kind of be a block. You will never be able to get beyond that. Things will never be the same between the two of you. So again, kind of not anticipating the best results, yet nevertheless kind of drawn in your direction. Almost like you haven't reached out. You've not been the one to kind of break the silence, or, you know, if this was someone that had ghosted in the past, energetically they may have felt you chasing them for a period of time, and you sort of stopped doing that. That feels to be something that may have brought them around kind of full focus. And you know, the fact that you've kind of redirected your focus elsewhere, this almost is something where they're wanting to sort of swoop back in, maybe even kind of reinstigate that sort of hook, that kind of line of energetic connection. For some, it's not necessarily going to be the best of intentions that this person is coming back towards you with. It's almost kind of opportunistic in a sense, kind of like, I want to feed on your energy. I want you to want me. I want you to desire me. I want you to pursue me. And you discontinued doing that. And so coming to almost kind of rattle your cage in a bit, or, you know, kind of put their feelers out there to try and get your attention back on them in some manner, so that that can kind of feed into them energetically, feed into their ego in some manner, provide them with some kind of vindication in a certain way that, you know, however they've operated in the past, it wasn't that bad, because you're still willing to talk to them and kind of entertain them again. But let's see what else wants to come through. Okay, so we have the Emperor, which is Aries, the Magician, which is Gemini, the Tower, which is Aries, Five of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, the Hermit, which is Virgo, and Justice, which is Libra. So 5 out of these 6 cards here, major arcana. This might have been a big breakup, something that you've been ruminating on for quite some time, or, you know, this wasn't just somebody, it feels like that there was a slight misunderstanding and you've kind of gone in your separate directions, and they're trying to just sort of open those lines of communication again. This is almost somebody who like stonewalled you, was very much operating in like an ego stance, my way or the highway kind of energy. They may have really blindsided you with kind of disconnecting very abruptly, words that were spoken, very kind of hurtful things, a deliberate dismantling of this connection. You may have felt very led on or kind of tricked in some manner, in terms of promises that were made, or even just a sense of where the connection was heading, and then this person, you know, taking kind of a sharp turn in another direction. That can definitely tie into this element of their kind of not expecting the warmest welcome upon their return. They left you high and dry. They've left you with no other recourse than to try to pick up the pieces of your heart, your life in a certain manner. You may have closed off your heart. You know, you may have kind of just dropped off the radar in a certain manner, of speaking literally or figuratively. Certainly if you've given up the chase, energetically speaking, they're sensing that disconnect. And it's not taking like this kind of vast range of perception for them to be able to understand kind of why that would be. What has pushed you to that point of needing to rebuild in a certain capacity, or for your own kind of salvation to have to disconnect from this person. This idea of justice is really speaking about an apology that's owed, some kind of vindication, something where this person may have almost gotten some kind of karmic retribution for how they treated you in this situation. If there was like a third party involved, for example, or somebody who really just kind of led you on in a sense, or, you know, got your hopes up and just was very cruel in how they sort of moved in the other way, moved in the other direction even. For some, and with this magician, and this isn't going to apply to everyone, but I'm hearing the phrase catfish. So this may have been someone that catfished you. Never really had the full intention of building anything substantial with you, and we're kind of just in this for their own sort of self-revolving motivations here. And this could have been something where, the hurt and the devastation from that, from kind of the letdown of that, they're coming back again with sort of some degree of wanting to vindicate themselves, maybe make themselves feel less like the bad guy, less like the bad girl, even to try and kind of reestablish some sort of energetic bond with you in the hopes of like feeding off your energy. So for some, this could be a full-on energy vampire, that was just kind of very much in this opportunistic energy, and they're still presenting in the same energy, trying to knock on that door and say, are you going to take the bait this time around again, or have you disconnected because you've wised up to sort of my tactics and my tricks in a certain way. For some, though, this is just a person who was very driven by their ego, kind of reached a wall, reached kind of a level where, for whatever reasons, and the choices are going to be different for everybody, they chose to move in another direction, or instead of maybe addressing triggers within, they took a very kind of harsh approach to how they disconnected from the situation, like running and leaving no opportunity to talk things out. Moving toward a certain point with you only to kind of pull the rug out from under you at a certain point in time. Like someone you thought you were building along the same lines with, you were building toward a future with one another, only to have that topple down. A sense of somebody who, may have left you really high and dry in a time when you really needed them, when the chips were down in your life, and this is kind of when they abandoned in a certain way, or just when things were getting ready to kind of accelerate to that next level, that's when they kind of ran from this situation. Or it doesn't even feel like anyone who started a process of self-sabotage. The intensity of these cards it's speaking to somebody who very abruptly created some kind of ending in this situation. They ran for the hills, and they may have been distant from you for a period of time, kind of in hiding in their own right, maybe even kind of telling you that they didn't have feelings for you, leave them alone, quit bothering them, they would never be interested in you, just anything like that. But then this is kind of the energy of now they've turned around, now they're coming back in your direction. For some people, the Hermit here and kind of this energy of illumination, they've seen the light, they've recognized that they were running from something within themselves and not you. And so for a handful of people, it feels like it might be sort of a genuine interest or curiosity about, can we rebuild? Is it too little too late? But a sense of almost kind of that would be fitting for their karma and karmic retribution, considering kind of how they handled things in the past, for you to not give them that opportunity again, to sort of slam the door in their face, or just outright ignore them, and that this may be sort of a burden that they have to carry with them, truly knowing what they had now that it's too little too late. For others, this is going to be something where this might be just the experience that is necessary to kind of, start to rebuild with one another in a different direction. It may, for some, be sort of an experience that helps to strengthen the overall connection. But it feels like for a lot of people, this is, again, something where this person headed back your way. They have very kind of like self-serving motivations here. It's in some way to kind of reestablish some sort of energetic bond between the two of you, so they can continue to kind of feed off your energy, feed off your attention, get you to pursue them once again, because it fills some void within them or feeds something within them. For others, it's kind of the element of, just to see, are you still operating with the same kind of sense of lack within that they may have perceived in the past that caused them to perhaps judge you in this situation and disconnect. For others, it's kind of like if this was a catfishing situation, they may have seen something in you in terms of like a state of vulnerability, or some degree of like you're not having self-esteem, you didn't have boundaries in a certain way. This may have been a very profound teaching tool for you, this connection right here. And so this person approaching could almost just be what you need in order to truly understand that you have evolved beyond kind of whatever state you were in that caused you to sort of welcome someone like this into your world and into your reality in the first place. It may be something that kind of the work that you've done on yourself to sort of process, come to a place of peace, disconnect from the idea of this person or pursuing this person, just whatever that looks like, and kind of the personal growth that has taken place, that you're on a different level, you're on a different frequency. So kind of what they had to offer the last time around that sort of sucked you into this situation, kind of hooked you on this dynamic. The game has changed. You now have the upper hand, where in the past they had the upper hand. And so it almost feels to be something that what they come forth with, it's almost like it's lacking. It isn't so compelling that you would entertain this person again. You see through them. You see through the illusion. You kind of bend down this road with this person previously, and so again might really kind of provide some sort of teaching tool for you as far as lesson learned, and really helps you to kind of move forward and move on with your life. But let's see what else you need to know. Okay, so we have consume, power, wisdom, and cunning. So literally with consume and power, for a lot of you, you could be dealing with an energy vampire, and they're getting ready to come out of the woodwork, trying to resurrect themselves in your life, kind of trying to, with that cunning energy, see if the same old tricks will apply, if you're going to take the bait, if they can hook you back in once again, and kind of open those lines of the energy one-way transference in this situation that may have been the case in the past. But it feels like something that, with wisdom here, you're onto that. You see through this person, you see through the game, you kind of know what the situation was all about. The spell has been broken, the illusion has been broken. You in some way have like taken your power back from this person in this situation, to where when they come back around, it almost feels to be a plea that falls on deaf ears. It's something that you've kind of evolved and moved beyond that. It almost feels to be as well with this idea of like this vulture here on the consume card, that they may just be trying to like breadcrumb or love bomb you. So you definitely could be dealing with like a narcissist here, someone who's just trying to see, are you still going to take the same kind of crumbs and sort of lack that I gave before? Are you still sitting in that lack mentality within yourself in some way vibrationally that allowed me to get in the door in the first place? And so it's something to where, for others of you that are not dealing with kind of a narcissist or an energy vampire, it feels like in this sense it's going to be a smaller portion of you. So if this is something where you don't necessarily feel that's the type of person you were dealing with, this might not be the group for you. The energies in the other two groups were different. It was not along the lines of this. So maybe those will resonate with you, or this is just not your reading in general if you're not kind of feeling this vibration. But overall, it feels very opportunistic for the most part. The energies here, as far as who's headed your way and what they want to say, is just to kind of hook you back in and see, are you still kind of operating at that same lower frequency, just in terms of like a lack mentality within that might have just taken a person like this at face value, or even something that you might not have been aware or very experienced or skilled at how narcissists operate, how energy vampires operate, psychic vampires, and now you have been educated. This person has given you an education. They have taught you something so that now you are more self-aware. You are aware of kind of how certain people move through the world, to where it's almost sort of like class has been in session, and when this person comes back towards you, it's graduation time. You've cleared this out. You've canceled out this sort of cycle or experience within yourself. It's may have been something on a soul level, or even just individually for yourself you needed to learn. You came here to experience. You now have kind of better boundaries and more self-awareness. But this is someone who's going to come in and sort of test those waters. It feels like they give very little, kind of just trying to tell you what you want to hear. If it's something where, it's somebody where there was kind of some sort of fight or argument, harsh words were said, and they're coming back towards you with almost sort of, they're guarded, and it's a little bit of just kind of like, okay, can we move beyond this in some level? And it's again, not like an energy vampire or narcissist, something like that. Maybe just someone who's sitting in kind of narcissistic tendencies. Again, they're not going to, it doesn't feel like they're going to give that full apology right away. They're not going to come towards you in that full, open, honest disclosure with that sort of humility. It's somebody who's still going to be very much in their ego. They're just going to provide a little bit, to just see kind of, if I lean in with a little something, will you do the rest of the heavy lifting? So if it is a connection where you're interested in preserving or moving forward from this person, from this kind of 0 point, this start over, this do-over, when they move in towards you, with the wisdom, it's you can be the teacher in this situation. Perhaps your rejection of this person, or your, clear expression of sort of like what we were doing with one another in the past, or how you treated me. I need some more from you. I need some sort of demonstration or evidence that you've truly changed before I'm opening the door to you. Something to where it doesn't feel, in this circumstance, based on kind of what has taken place and sort of what they come in with, that it's just going to be like, oh, I'm so happy to see you, and it's this kind of tearful reunion with one another. There's definitely a lot of kind of like hurt feelings that have taken place, deception that has taken place, a lot of kind of heavy energies that it may have been a struggle for you to process and kind of come to a place of peace from, and their motivations for sort of like heading towards you, it feels very much, it's self-serving. There's an understanding that it was maybe handled in the wrong way, or they could have been nicer, or should have been a little bit like let you down a little bit easier, but it feels like they still sort of have a lot of work to do within themselves to move more into a higher ethical state, or more into the heart space. They're very kind of ego driven. It's like too proud to say they're sorry, so they're going to give a little bit and hope that that's kind of enough to just sort of get in the door in a certain manner, but they're not expecting the best results here. There's a part of them that, even though they're operating heavily in the ego with like the Emperor and this power energy right here, that it's a knowledge that this is just not going to fly. This is going to be something which just sort of crashes and burns as soon as they kind of come in with this. If you even entertain them at all and kind of hear what they have to say, it's almost kind of like it reaches a wall at a certain point, and they're almost anticipating that this isn't going to go very far. But they're nevertheless kind of compelled towards you to at least sort of give that a try, at least sort of say, well, maybe it's not beyond kind of all shadows of a doubt that this person will just take the little crumbs I have to offer, and that'll be good enough, and we can just kind of, we can forget everything that happened before and get back to where we were. Or they'll do the heavy lifting, I'll provide a little, I'll give 25% and they'll do 75% of the lifting in the situation, like may have been the case in the past. So it's definitely something where, for most of you, this doesn't feel to either be a person that you're going to be excited to hear from. It doesn't feel to be something that, right out of the gate, if it is someone that you would still kind of entertain a possibility of something with, it doesn't feel that they kind of lead in the best of energy. It'll vary. It's subject to debate as far as if they can evolve beyond that. If it's someone you'd want to kind of entertain again, you'd have to take the lead in order to kind of raise the bar, raise the standard, demonstrate for them. It may be a circumstance where it calls you to step into your personal power and kind of reject this person, call their bluff in a certain way. Give them the breadcrumbs right back, kind of a thing. It's definitely shouldn't be easy for them to kind of resurface. It's, definitely not something it feels like you'd be inclined to kind of make it easy on them. So it's a lot of tension here with this. And overall, it may just be something that kind of is just like that vindication, something where, you're able to kind of see this person through somewhat of a direct interaction, or even just a message that they send from afar. You may not even respond to it, but seeing that, hearing that, the words that they speak are really being able to kind of touch upon that energy more directly. It may confirm for you the type of person you were dealing with, your spidey sense, or the ways in which you've kind of educated yourself, or you've healed, or you've grown or evolved, that whatever the connection was before, it's almost sort of, you're on a different level now. And this may be something that just, it fizzles as quickly as it's kind of, they try to reinstigate it. It's just nothing that kind of warrants attention from you in any sort of way, which it feels like brings about some degree of closure. This is almost somebody that they kind of bring in a crumb, and if it doesn't go well, they're not gonna be persistent. They're not gonna pursue this in a certain manner. So it's really kind of like up to you if anything happens, how far that goes, and if this person is even, in this situation, is even kind of worth entertaining again. But let's get some messages from their higher self and see what do they want to tell you right now. Okay, and they say, I still feel so attracted to you. So this is kind of in terms of like the energy, vampire energy. They are craving you. They may be going through withdrawals from your energy, from your attention in a certain manner. They're wanting to come in and get their fix. For others of you where this was just somebody that was very ego-driven and mishandled your heart in a very kind of cruel manner, but that was maybe just stemming from some sort of like pattern of wounding within. There's an essence that no matter what they said, no matter how they rejected you, no matter sort of what happened in the past, that this was almost like triggers within, or some kind of wound or fear within that was doing the talking. That deep within the heart, it's definitely the energy of like, it's not you, it's me, but they don't feel to be in a place of being able to express that, which is kind of, what is that worth if it's still just buried deeply within, if they're not really able to prove and demonstrate something to kind of contradict that in a measurable way. They also say, I want to reach out. So again, somebody craving your energy, wanting to get back into your space, wanting to get back into your energy field in a more profound manner, kind of watching and waiting for the opportunity or kind of the time to sort of spring out of hiding in a certain manner. For those of you that this isn't like a totally nefarious energy that you were dealing with here, or just like a very broken or kind of like a shallow person, this is somebody who, even if they're operating in the ego, there is this yearning to kind of, almost like they want you to sort of teach them how to love, or to be the one to step into a leadership role, to almost, a part of them that is almost kind of anticipating the worst and maybe sort of hoping that you reject them, in a sense of, this being almost kind of like a teaching tool, something that can illuminate for them, the wounding or some degree of vindication that may be necessary, you being the applier of karma to them, in the hopes that maybe this will lead them onto a better path within themselves of self-discovery, of, kind of growing beyond whatever this kind of fear or woundedness or baggage was that has kind of inflicted hurt on this situation in the past. It's a lot of kind of, they want to express more to you than they have been able to in the past, but it's almost like they can't even access or won't access that within themselves, so it just sort of sits there. It can't be articulated. And they also say, I'm so proud of who you have become. So that's the energy of those of you who took your power back. Even as far as the energy and psychic vampires are concerned, there is a degree of almost begrudging respect that they have for you. You disconnected from them. You closed out the cycle in a sense. And it feels to be something where they're going to try to knock on the door again. And if you don't answer, you sort of slam it in their face. They will walk away from that situation understanding that you've used this experience to your advantage rather than kind of sinking deeper into despair or allowing kind of lack to be sort of the predominant factor and force. In some way you have healed a part of you that attracted them to you in the first place. It speaks to a bit of kind of envy as well. It's some degree of like personal empowerment that it feels like they themselves, it's very elusive for them. They're kind of lacking that within themselves. So it may even be food for thought if you don't respond to them. It kind of may make them sort of wonder a little more within. Kind of who they are, their character, how they move through the world, how they've handled the situation with you. If it's somebody who, this isn't like the energy vampire coming back, rising from the ashes, kind of a thing. Then this is somebody who, is very kind of proud that all the hurt that they have caused you in the past has not defeated you. That you have found a way to kind of turn this into wisdom. You have, and it may have taken quite some time. It may be, you may still be in the midst of that process of personal alchemy, but in some way they kind of like see or sense, even just in terms of what they're able to kind of glean energetically. You stop pursuing them. You've put that focus on yourself or on other things. And again, this is a sense of, I pushed you away, but I hoped that you would continue to pursue me. And I'm so proud of the fact that you chose to save yourself rather than continuing to just sort of give power away into this situation. They also say, I struggle to show you how much I truly care. So this is definitely somebody who has a lot of kind of emotional void within themselves. They may definitely kind of feed off of and thrive off of energy of other people. That helps to kind of build their confidence, build their self-esteem. Somebody who may have a very difficult time kind of finding that self-worth other than through being kind of adored and admired or, coveted by other people. And so what you were dealing with in the past, kind of even just the fragments of this person. And this is not applying to somebody that may have just been very opportunistic, but it's almost kind of like a false bravado that they may have presented. A sense of kind of like projecting almost that you weren't what they were looking for. You weren't good enough. You weren't the type of person that they wanted, or they sort of tossed you aside for somebody else. It feels to be something that for a handful of people, there may have been a stirring of some kind of genuine emotion at some point in time, but that really sort of collided with an element of kind of darkness that they hold within, in a sense of kind of like the light or the stirring of affection really contradicted sort of their status quo of how they feel inside, although it might have been compelling to sort of step into a different version of themselves or truly kind of embody what might have been awakened or sort of stirred within. It's a sense of like they're most comfortable in that dark energy within. They're most comfortable in that sort of void within. That's how they operate. That's how they become sort of accustomed to moving through the world. And so it wasn't that you were too much or you were asking too much, you were giving too much. It's that they weren't in a place to receive. They didn't feel like enough inside to be able to reciprocate or even kind of receive. They didn't feel worthy of receiving what you had to give in the past. They also say, I know one day we will find our way back to each other. So this can definitely apply to the idea of somebody who, again, wasn't like narcissist, wasn't the energy vampire, but just somebody operating based purely on ego and a lot of kind of wounds within, that the intimacy, the partnership, the feelings between the two of you may have really triggered them to kind of run or self-sabotage in this situation. There's a sense of hoping that you will kind of teach them how to love, teach them how to become strong, teach them how to become empowered, through an energy of almost kind of hoping that you do not open the door to them this time. And with that being said, for some, it's almost kind of like They're hoping that you reject them so that it gives them some sort of motivation to change for the better within themselves, that for whatever reason, and it'll be different for everyone, and it feels very nuanced and kind of almost a bit of procrastination and fear, like they feel that they can't get to that place on their own. It requires sort of the pain and the heartbreak in order to kind of crack open to something else. Almost like they've recognized in some way, to tie it in with I'm so proud of who you've become. There's a recognition, conscious or unconscious, that sort of the heartbreak that they've inflicted upon you through this situation has cracked you open to kind of a very profound level of becoming for you, a very profound healing for you. And so there's almost like a sense of, I'm going to present you with my, soft underbelly in the hopes that you will inflict some sort of pain upon me, and that'll crack me open in the same way that I cracked you open, and then I can grow and I can expand and I can evolve, and maybe even further down the road there's a chance for us to kind of be together. A sense of almost them seeing that sort of heartbreak has been a doorway for you, to some kind of process of really taking your power back, coming into a state of personal empowerment that you may not have been operating in when you were last dealing with them. You've changed significantly is kind of what they're feeling, with all those major arcana that were coming out at first as well. And also this kind of sense of not expecting the best possible results, that even if you're, still operating in this energy of kind of like hurt and pain and disappointment, they're seeing or sensing energetically that there has been a shift within you. They want what you have in that capacity, and they're not really able to kind of generate that themselves. And so it's almost, that can be a motivation for a lot of them, is to come back towards you in the hopes that, you will then be turning the tables. You'll be the one to kind of slam the door in the face. You'll be the one to kind of reject them. And maybe then they'll be on that same path to kind of stepping into a better version of themselves than they've been up to this point. And they also say, I've always been afraid of this love. And I'm kind of reading this as, I've always been afraid of love, is the bottom line, no matter what the type of person you were dealing with was or is. If this is, just kind of like the wounded person, the narcissist, the energy vampire, the psychic vampire, they are very much craving love and yet terrified of love. They do not love themselves very profoundly. There's a lot of kind of self-loathing in this energy. There's a lot of sense of lack, and it feels to be something where they're very much drawn to the light of what you had to offer, what you had to give. Most of these individuals, it feels like, took advantage of that to a certain degree, or sort of, played with you, played with your heart, played with your emotions. They were not forthcoming and fully honest with sort of what their intentions were, what they were capable of giving. It feels like most of them kind of took the easy way out, or just sort of tried to dump it all onto you, tried to project you as the problem when it was really like something within them. So it's a sense of kind of an education here, that the situation's been an education for you, and also kind of more of that energy of sort of like, teach me how to love. I'll come back towards you, and if you reject me, maybe that'll be a little more kind of a nudge in a different direction, so that perhaps I could find some way to love myself more profoundly. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit, and then I will get some initials to close out the reading. Okay, so we have affirmation for positive change and earth magic. So this earth magic is another confirmation of that magician energy. And so this is really kind of tying in as well with sort of a degree of self-mastery that you have achieved in the aftermath of dealing with this individual. Try to kind of remember the conclusions that you've come to, the epiphanies that you've come to. This person may have a very compelling or seductive energy, especially if they're like a psychic vampire, an energy vampire, or even a narcissist. They'll know what buttons to push, what kind of nerves to tap on in order to try to generate some kind of response of sympathy. some kind of an energy of like they're in distress, they need your help, just whatever that kind of looks like. Some kind of crocodile tears that try to get them back in the door in a certain manner. But it's really this encouragement of you've come very far on your own off of what has happened in this circumstance. So not to forget those kind of tools, that knowledge, ways in which you educated yourself, ways in which you put yourself back together again, despite what has happened in this situation. And to continue, it feels like for most of you to just really have this kind of forward thinking momentum. This doesn't, for the most part, feel like something, even if it's somebody that is just kind of operating in a woundedness within, they don't feel ready to offer you anything other than kind of more heartbreak at this point. So sort of the guidance here is to continue to manifest healthy and reciprocal love further down the road. If it's this person who uses this maybe rejection as an education and they start to get their act together and they go through some sort of profound change, perhaps further down the road, it might be better results. For others of you, this is almost kind of like an opportunity to just sort of shut the door, shut the chapter, get some sort of confirmation of like, okay, I knew it. That's what I was dealing with. That's the kind of person that this is. That's what my instinct has been telling me. At this point in my healing journey, this is what I'm gleaning from them, energetically speaking, that I might not have been aware of before. If you didn't know about dealing with psychic vampires, dealing with energy vampires, you didn't know about narcissists, maybe you knew these things in sort of title and definition, but it's so different when you have an actual experience and you go through all of that it's almost, the pain has provided you with wisdom that books couldn't teach, articles couldn't teach, hearing other people's experiences couldn't teach, that you're actually the one that's come out on top in this situation. You're actually the one who has triumphed because now you're deeply informed on like a cellular and energetic level, to where you'll be able to sort of discern moving forward when energies like this approach you in the future. So it feels to be something that kind of the guidance then with that is sort of when this person pops back up into the equation, take note of kind of everything that's going on within sort of your senses, within your energy body. Take note of these things because these will almost be sort of like your clues, your sort of like subtle senses as you move forward in your life. When you encounter individuals kind of on a similar vibration at the outset, you might be able to kind of pick up on some of those red flags easier than you had in this situation. So it's a good way to kind of alchemize all of this hurt into, a tool that you use to your advantage moving forward. This person has taught you through some experience of darkness, kind of how to sort of move into the light of personal illumination. It's bringing to mind the phrase of kind of like a person gave me a box of darkness and it took years to figure out that this too was a gift. That really feels to be sort of the guidance here in this situation, is to, as much as you can, try to continue to kind of manifest this experience into something that can be used for your betterment, your best interests moving forward. You've now had the experience with a person like this very directly. You'll be able to better know how to avoid characters like this that may pop up into your narrative further down the road, because this probably will not be the last of this kind of individual that you will encounter, but now you've been educated in a certain way to where it almost feels like something that's just, it's very kind of visceral, it's very energetic, it's very much like a tingly spidey sense that has been honed through this whole encounter. So using this as kind of the closure of the door onward into the future, and kind of not looking back is sort of the guidance here, sort of leaving this behind. It's like a shedding of a version of you. It's kind of it's a rebirth here, and just really sort of lightening the load of any kind of interest or kind of feeding into sort of the cloak or the garment that this person may present themselves in, that it's something that you don't need this. You've closed this out, you shed this part of you, and so to really kind of just continue to put your sights toward building and growing and evolving and sort of strengthening yourself, and not get hooked back into the situation. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. M H O D I Y Q E B R O V Y R U P C T and W. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance for the most part. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.